Welcome back, guys. I'm Jake Ellenbogen. He is Gary Sheffield Jr. This is Yankees Unloaded, and today we're going to be talking about the Yankees. Unfortunate loss, 7-6. They came all the way back, and the reason why I say that, Gary, is they weren't down 10-1 or anything like that, but it sure feels like that when you have, a team like the Orioles. Margin for error is very slim. You can't make mistakes. Obviously, the Yankees made some mistakes down the stretch, and it cost them the game, even after a valiant comeback. We're going to start off talking about Gerrit Cole, 62 pitch count. Gary, he leaves the game not with an injury, and despite the fact this guy was striking out 10 here, and I think he had 13 strikeouts in another rehab start, they hustled to bring him up to the major leagues so he could throw 62 pitches. In, 4 innings, 3 hits. Yeah, he gave up 2 runs, 5 strikeouts. I thought, he looked like Gerrit Cole, who hasn't pitched in, quite a bit in the major leagues. That doesn't mean I'm taking him out. Gerrit Cole, who hasn't pitched in a while, is still better than half of the league. So, I don't. You and I agreed on that because we talked about it off air. I think that was a huge mistake. Because that cut into the bullpen early on. And, when you give up, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 bullpen guys in this game and you don't win the game, it's still going to sting regardless. Having 6 bullpen guys pitch, regardless of the outcome, is going to sting. But when you don't win that game, that hurts. And by the way, all that, the bullpen wasn't very good. And I think it's also kind of, we'll touch on Cole. We'll get back to Cole here in a sec. But I do want to point out, this goes back to the parlay discussion we always talk about. I always say it. It's funny because obviously the odds go up on a parlay if you add, multiple legs, right? But
That's
it
right.
also makes it, there's more variables and you're more likely to screw it up, right? So when you bring in Marinaccio, and yeah, he didn't pitch well. This is probably the worst game of the year for him. Then you bring in Victor Gonzalez. So then you bring in Canely for a batter. Then you bring in Ferguson. Then you bring in Mizuitz. No way I pronounced that correctly. And then you bring in Holmes. Look at all the variables, Gary. Look at how many arms they used today.
There's just more pressure on guys.
Yeah.
How could there not be, right? All of it's got to go well. And if you're the San Francisco Giants in 2012 and you want to go beat the Detroit Tigers and you've got this super bullpen you can deploy, by all means, be my guest. Go ahead and do that. But guess what? When you're talking about rushing, because I'm paying very close attention to the words you use. You said rushed Gerrit Cole back, because I don't know how you can possibly describe this any other way other than a rush job. And when people told us, hey, when do you think Gerrit Cole's coming back? They gave us a rough estimate of early June. Today's date, it is June 19th. So it gives people this impression that the Yankees gave him an extra 3 weeks. We really paced him into this. They had rehab assignments, right? There was a whole build-up process. They talked about 40 pitch count, 25 pitch count, getting up to 60 pitches. What's so crazy to me is that if the New York Yankees knew coming into this game, because this was a pre-game decision from Aaron Boone, that when Gerrit Cole gets to 60 to 65 pitches, he's coming out of this game. Jake, how often do we see this many pitchers touch a mound? Whether it's Gerrit Cole or not, how often do we see this?
Not often.
Never. We see it never. This never happens to the 2024 Yankees. This is not how we play. We just 2 days ago, Jake, we're talking about how the Yankees had gone 50 starts of going 5+ innings with their starters. So why would you rush Gerrit Cole back and tell him you've got 65 pitches to work with? If you tell a pitcher you've got 65 pitches to work with, at best, if he's economical, he's getting through 5. That's best case scenario. And we know Gerrit Cole's not going to be his sharpest self. He's going to use those pitches early, and he did, right? He made adjustments. He started using that knuckle curve. After 4 innings, he was cooked. Right? Pitch count wise, he didn't have anything else to work with. So essentially, coming into the 5th inning, we bring Marinaccio out there. We lost the game at that point. Like, yeah, Giancarlo might have kind of bailed us out of this one and put us back into this game. Frankly, we almost stole the game. But You cannot possibly tell me that this is the smart move. As good as Yankees pitchers are throwing, as successful as they've been all year, you put Gerrit Cole on the mound and he's not built up to go 90 pitches, at least 90. This makes no sense. None whatsoever. This game was lost by Aaron Boone before first pitch ever happened. Of course, we're going to talk about all of their personnel choices as far as who's starting at catcher, but this is egregious. This is terrible. Okay.
Yeah.
On this show, Jake, we've mentioned how many positive things not just Aaron Boone's done, but Brian Cashman, right? They've said the right things, but they didn't just talk about it. They were saying at the beginning of the year, we're going to work these starting guys, and we want to make sure we don't overtax our guys. They said the same thing about Clay Holmes. We don't want to overtax him. We don't want to see him go out there 80 times. And that made a lot of sense to me. But I said, hold on a second. Let's see what if they actually do it. They did it. Now you bring out Gerrit Cole. You bring him out a week early, week and a half early, and you tell me he's coming out after 4 innings. Stupid baseball. And worst timing ever, by the way. Couldn't have been worse. You wait for Baltimore to come to town when we have to win these games. Frankly, I know they're going to say this is just one regular season game, but it's not. It's against a team where the margins are going to be 1 or 2 games this year. Stupid baseball. Dumb.
It is. And, it was the 5th inning. Mullins just hit a single, to left. He didn't crush a pitch. It wasn't like, oh, Cole didn't look good. It's not like his velocity dropped off, a cliff. And then he gets taken out. Marinaccio comes in. And by the way, Marinaccio pitching in the 5th inning is like Aaron Boone did a horrible job managing today. Marinaccio probably gave up that home run because he's not even used to coming in the 5th inning. He's normally an 8th inning guy, right? I mean, that's what he is. And honestly, maybe he's a 9th inning guy down this stretch. But the reality is he should not be in the middle of the game. And to your point, this is a 1-to-1 baseball game. Gerrit Cole is doing everything that you need him to do in this one, okay? And think about this. He's settled down for the most part, Gary. He really did. The first inning, okay, he gives up the ground rule double. Henderson scores. Okay, that happened. But then he goes a few innings after that, no runs. It's 1-1, giving your team a chance. And to me, I think Boone deserves blame for the loss. We defend him a lot on here. We give him a lot of credit. Yep. But he was awful today. He was absolutely terrible. I thought what's his face yesterday was much better. Osmus, because I just think, when you looked at the way, Boone managed this game, Cole 62 pitches. It's not like he got into a bases loaded jam. There's one guy on, right? Then immediately, Marinaccio comes on and Mullins steals second. And then it's a home run anyway, so who cares? But that pissed me off. And then, at that point, Marinaccio in a situation he's not normally in, pitching in the 5th inning, now it's kind of screwed up your order of operations. Because normally he comes in 7th, 8th inning.
Oh, yeah, we're out of whack now.
Yeah, now you're all over the place because, Gonzalez is pitching and, he can pitch all over the place and everything. But Canely came in, then you have Ferguson, Mizuitz, the new guy.
Hey, to your point, didn't you just say 2 days ago, Jake, hey, Victor Gonzalez, it seems like they're using him as a specialty guy. He's only coming out to face a couple hitters to end the inning, and then they don't really trust him to go multi-innings. Oh, long behold, Victor Gonzalez goes 1 2/3 today. We're using guys in ways that we don't use guys. So if players have been successful, and I would call our bullpen overall, they've been very successful. I know there's some oddballs, right, that maybe shouldn't be there. But as a unit, Clay Holmes, Gonzalez, Marinaccio, Ferguson has been spectacular of late. So as a unit, they've been good. But none of these guys today were used the way that they should be used because we had a game plan that was stupid from the jump. We essentially said, we really want to use Gerrit Cole back in this Baltimore series. We really think it'll put a shot in the arm of the Yankees. Why would it? Why would it put a shot in their arm? He's coming into the game. His teammates know, hey, he's coming out after the 4th. They know he's done after 60 pitches, so it's a bullpen battle. We haven't done that or deployed it all year. We're not the type of team to do this. And we said at the beginning of the year, we should not be playing bullpen games. A team with a $300 million payroll should be able to trust their starter. And if you feel like Gerrit Cole can't go past 60 pitches and you want to be careful, by all means, do that. Start him in AAA. Put someone that you have built up as a starting pitcher, believe in him, and put him on the mound. That just is what it is. And if you don't trust anybody, then maybe you need another starter. Maybe you do, because you can't tell me that you don't trust Gerrit Cole physically to get through 65 to 75 pitches. Then all of a sudden you're just going to throw somebody out there to do something they haven't done all year and then expect success. Aaron Boone has been really good this year. Overall, I thought his moves have been sharp. We overanalyze a lot of what he does. He gets the job, right? It's like he's like the president. Like, you can do no right. But I'll say this. This was like bad. This was something that was just a rookie mistake. I have no clue. And this is not just Boone, by the way. This was agreed upon by multiple people. This went through, I promise you guys, this was agreed upon across the organization.
Absolutely.
This
was their game plan.
This was their plan. They said, well, we're going to get a super start out of Gerrit Cole, get his feet wet, right? Get him his competitive edge. He's going to go
doing
up
it in the
against
Orioles
Baltimore.
series. What are we doing?
Yeah, against Baltimore. I don't know, man. This was bad. This was really bad.
That's the thing. If he comes in and like he's not ready and he gets shelled, like, okay, I would accept that. But you rug pulled yourself. You rug pulled yourself. You took him out in a 1-1 ball game. You put in a pitcher that's never pitching in the 5th inning. He normally pitches in the 7th or 8th. You put him in the 5th inning. It's like you rug pulled yourself. You should have won this game. Gerrit Cole gave you every opportunity to win this game. The Yankees got to Povich with the pitch count, got him up to 94. He was taken out of the game 4 2/3. And then they got to the bullpen. And sure enough, you see what they're able to do against Perez and Cano. And that was really the key to get them to, what they were able to do offensively. But no, when the Yankees score 6 runs and your starter gives up, I mean, he basically gave up 1 run. I mean, let's be honest here. He couldn't defend was he giving up the Cedric Mullins run? I don't really think so. I think he probably doesn't give up a run that inning. But, I mean, we don't know. But really, he gave up 1 run. Like, when he was in there, not guys that he was responsible for, he gave up 1 run. It was 1-1 when he came out of the game. And, then you take him out, 62 pitches. We've seen this guy go over 100. And look, were we expecting 100? No. I was expecting 85. 62 is absurd. It is.
I mean, how many times did he throw in AAA?
It really bothers me. It does, because at some point or another, this team has to win a freaking extra inning game. I mean, at some point or another, they have to actually do this. I understand this is a 51-win team. They're the best team in baseball. But, God, it's like, why, extra innings. Okay, so we lost. That's how people look at it now. It's like they have no chance of winning. They blow it every time.
Well,
and
Jake, most importantly, though, they're playing Baltimore. Who gives a shit? When we're talking about 51 wins, 50 wins, we get to 98 wins. How many people care how many wins we had in 2017? Do you remember anybody in our comment section talking about how many games we won in 2017? I don't. No. Because no one actually cares. But if we had won the World Series in 2017, well, sure as shit, we'd be talking about it, wouldn't we? We should be. Okay, so that's the way we're judged, is what we do in October. And what sets up that run in October is beating this team. It's not Houston anymore, guys. Houston is off the table. Houston's trying to figure out, do we sell on Kyle Tucker? Do we sell on Altuve, Alvarez, Bregman? They're trying to figure out what to do, okay? That's not on our plate. This team is. Okay, Baltimore is now what's in front of us. And then eventually the Dodgers or the Braves or probably Philadelphia most likely. But those are the ways that you judge your organization. Of course, you want to go win games and prepare yourself for the long haul of the season, right? Protecting Gerrit Cole, all that, I get it. But what you do against these teams matters the most. There's nothing more important than this. So that's what frustrates me so much. They seemingly came into this game like it was the middle of spring training. Like Gerrit Cole just could come in, get his feet wet. Okay, get him out of there, get him prepared for his next start. And they're just like looking at looking at the
And
long-term goal of
somehow
this, what are you
Judge
talking about?
goes from he's going to play to then he's not playing. Now he's a
Yeah.
maybe for tomorrow. And look, I understand injury and everything. Judge should have pinched it that last at bat. He absolutely should have. I mean, runner on, you know, I mean, it just I don't know what we're
I'm
doing.
not that mad about that. I would assume because that's protecting an injured player, right? A partially injured player.
I
Aaron
know.
Judge isn't drastically hurt. If he was, he would go on the IL. He's just ailing, right? He's banged up. He's swollen, it aches. So they're protecting an actual injured player. Gerrit Cole's not hurt. Gerrit Cole's not
Well, yeah,
ailing.
no, that's
That's what bothers
and
me.
the thing that bothers me is like, we thought this is what they were going to do with Heel, and I'm glad they're not. But it's like then they're doing it with Gerrit Cole. It's like, ugh. I don't know. I'm annoyed all across the board. This is a game that you need to win. This is a game they should have won. Stanton was excellent. This was
He was.
postseason Stanton at his best. Now all of a sudden he's at 243 again, 18 home runs. He has a chance to go to the All-Star game. Now I have no idea if he will. He's up there in voting, but he has a shot. I hated the way the substitutions were utilized today.
You didn't like the whole Jemai Jones, Oswaldo pinch running and all that stuff?
That shit pisses me off. And this is what I mean. Like when we were talking about the last episode, I was like, so now I'm down to Jemai Jones because I can only have 26 guys on a roster. Like this shit's stupid. It's so stupid. You go to the 10th inning and it's like, well, I could use him, but then I have to give up my DH, or I'd have to. It's like, then did you hear like Michael K's talk about? Well, then you're gonna have to have a pitcher. I was like, see, this shit is wrong. This is just wrong. It's poorly done. Like the rules suck. Why the hell?
We have great organizational depth, but when it comes to the big league roster, Trent Grisham, Jemai Jones, what? This reminds me of the day. Remember when like Jerry Hairston Jr. was coming off the bench and like playing left field for the Yankees?
Homer
This
Bush.
is what that reminds me of.
I mean, I liked Homer Bush, but still, Gary, what was it you said the other day? I don't know if it was on a show or it was off air, but you said it best. Jason Dominguez is like your third best fielder in the entire. Yeah.
Yeah, I'll explain it. Jason Dominguez is far and away, and not close, the third best outfielder in our entire organization.
And I know he's
there. You have it. Yes, but let me say this: when he's healthy,
yeah,
and he just was 3 days ago, he was healthy. He is the third best player in the organization. But here's the crazy part: that's when you need to find a way to put him in the lineup. Find a way to put him on the field. I don't know how, right? I gave you a couple examples of what we can do to make that work, but here's the crazy part. I also said, because when people say, hey, well, Dominguez, if he's really the third best outfielder in the whole organization, then there's 3 spots in the outfield. Doesn't that mean he should be in the outfield and maybe Verdugo, who's your third best outfielder, shouldn't? Nope. It's not what I said. I suggested that Aaron Judge can move to first base, or you can, who knows what you do, right? You figure out a way to play those guys. But the Yankees are in a situation where they do not want to have their third best outfielder in the organization not getting his reps. So what do? They send him to the minor leagues so he can get his reps, and then they're just going to try to time him for next year. That's what they're going to do. They're going to say, well, if Dominguez is still ready, still performing to his standards, we're going to use him as a super replacement for Alex Verdugo. That sounds really good, but that's not what's best for the 2024 team. That's what's good for 2025, and that's my problem. That's where my problem resides. I don't get that. I don't get that mentality.
Well, and there's all this like service time manipulation, and basically like what we saw today. This is games like today just scream that we're right and they're wrong. I don't care what anyone says. I mean, when you have the final batter coming up to the plate, you have to pinch hit, Jemai Jones.
Yep.
I mean, I'm gonna pull it up. I'm gonna pull up the 40-man roster right now because I just Jahmai Jones. You can't even tell me he might be the worst hitter on the 40-man roster. Like I'm not kidding you. I'm not even like exaggerating. So catchers, Navarez, Narvaez, the AAA catcher, he's hitting well. Augustin Ramirez led AA in home runs, which by the way, AA, AAA, he just got added up to AAA. Double A is where like most of the talent is anyway. Guys don't even like have to be
Usually,
to
yeah,
Triple A anymore. Ben Rice is definitely a better hitter than Jahmai Jones. Not even worth arguing there. Jose Trevino is a better hitter. Austin
of
Wells is a
course.
better hitter. John Birdie's on the IL, but he is definitely a better hitter. I didn't know John Birdie went on the 60-day IL. That blows. Oswaldo Cabrera is a better hitter. DJ LeMahieu is a better hitter. Oswald Peraza is a better hitter. Anthony Rizzo, Gleyber Torres. Your beat Vivas is hitting better in AAA. He could arguably be a better hitter. Anthony Volpe's a better hitter. Jason Dominguez, Trent Grisham, Aaron Judge, Everson Pereira. He's hurt, but definitely better hitter.
I like
Juan
how you said
Soto.
Trent Grisham. He's hitting 100.
I know, and he's still a better hitter than Jahmai Jones because his at bats are way better.
Well, they would say
Better.
he's good at things that don't have to do with hitting, right? The Yankees have offensive players, but I guess the issue is, would you say Jahmai Jones is like even in the running to be the fourth or fifth best outfielder in this organization? No.
Well,
So why is he
that's
there?
the thing. That's the thing that makes me laugh, right? Because people will say, "Well," and look, I understand how things work. I'm not dumb. I'm not living under a rock. I understand he's mainly the speedster. He's the pinch run guy. Okay. Well, at that point, why? Because you got to add something. Did you know Brandon Lockridge right now in Scranton Wilkes-Barre has 21 bags he's stolen?
I
Jeter
didn't know
Downs
that.
has 12. Why not just bring in one of them? They at least they have upside. Lockridge is hitting 267. He doesn't hit any home runs. Neither does Jahmai
Well,
Jones.
yeah, but since when okay, every single player that's in the minor leagues for the most part, they have upside somewhere. They're either athletic, they hit for contact, or they hit for power, or they're a
Yeah,
defensive replacement. They do one of those things. Okay. So Jason Dominguez is a supreme upgrade offensively. Okay.
absolutely.
Now, I cannot say it's a smart move to shore up the bench by bringing in Jason Dominguez. That would be stupid, okay? Because that's the way they look at it. They think it's too much of a risk to move Aaron Judge and making room. I would honestly, as well as Verdugo's playing left field, he's basically been our best outfielder this year. He's been incredible in left field. Had another great play today. And I would feel plenty comfortable moving Aaron Judge because hasn't he shown you that he can get hurt? Hasn't he shown that to us at this point? He's not an injury prone player, but he can get hurt. It happens. He's 6'7", 282 pounds. What do you expect? Right? That getting hurt is just part of the job, right? It's like you need to do something to stay on the field. For Giancarlo, what helped him, giving him a day off every couple days, keeping him off his feet every once in a while, it's worked for him. Okay, so what do we do for Aaron Judge to protect him? Maybe it's this. And then it also, two birds with one stone, allows us to put Dominguez in the field of play. It would really help. And then also, Jake, I really want to transition to this because I've been dying to talk about it. What's going on at catcher? Because
Not good.
after last week, when we watched Jose Trevino surrender 9 stolen bases, and we're going to provide all the context. There's people on both sides of the fence. Some people thought that part of this was on Stroman and his slow release time, his high leg kick, didn't seem to make a ton of adjustments, and really didn't want to throw over to first base with any authority at all. So Boston was not worried about Stroman either. So we're providing all context. 9 stolen bases that day. Okay? Lost us the game. 9. So then questions happen where someone said, well, hold on a second. Is this a red flag that a team that everyone's calling the best team in the American League, arguably the best team in Major League Baseball, they have a catcher who can't throw? And you would say, well, giving up 9 stolen bases, that doesn't necessarily mean you're the worst throwing catcher. And that's where we say, if you didn't watch last show, I'm going to refresh everyone's memory. Statistically, via velocity, okay? An obvious stat. How hard do you throw the ball to second base? And what's your pop time? When the ball hits your glove, how fast do you get the ball to second base? Jose Trevino is not just the worst throwing catcher in Major League Baseball between starters. He's also the worst throwing catcher between any backup. Pick one. Go pick a team. The Colorado Rockies backup catcher has a better throwing arm than Jose Trevino. Now, not every player, Jake, before I turn this to you, has an ability to hit 260 to the point where we say, oh, wow, this might be an all-star, right? A guy who's hitting 260, who's hitting the ball in the gaps, who has somewhat of athleticism, and also can throw. But you need to be serviceable at all aspects of catcher. You can't just hit well and then not be able to field the position in any way. And then just tell me your job is to frame. It's not. You have to be able to throw the ball too. So, Jake, I guess my question, and I said, well, let's pump the brakes at that time. I said, I wouldn't find a solution right away. I think we've got to figure this out. Who knows the adjustment we need to make? But this is getting bad. This is to the point now where any team that plays us that sees Trevino behind the plate, you're a fool not to be trying to steal bags. You're a buffoon. So, yeah, it seems really bad right now. I don't know what can change because this is more of a physicality aspect of this game, not a performance. So if people have a sky is falling perspective on this Trevino thing, I frankly wouldn't blame you.
Yeah. I want to say this. Mullins stole third, right? Mm-hmm. And Trevino threw it, was it 50 feet over the third baseman?
I think it was 65.
Yeah, it was way over, right? That gave Mullins. So that was 7-5 Orioles after that. That ended up being the deciding factor because before Mullins had the bloop single. And I want to back up Clay Holmes a little bit here because, you know, with the ghost runner in the 10th inning, it's not the same as just a regular closing situation.
It is not.
So a stupid bloop single like that is going to score anyone who's competent on the base paths at second. So I do want to point that out. But you have 6-5, right? And we're okay with that. I look at 6-5. I'm like, I think the Yankees can tie the game. And they would have. But the throw into left field, that's just not acceptable. Mullins was able to steal third and then advance on the overthrow and score that insurance run that ended up being the game 7-6 because Ben Rice ends up having the sac fly to get them 6 runs. They could not get that 7th. However, if that does not happen, it's 6-6. And we're going into the 11th. Not now. I assume the game already ended by now, but but you get the point. So I wanted to bring up because I think Chris Kirschner does just a fantastic job of covering the Yankees for The Athletic. Yep. And he was actually the one that finally put this out there about Trevino because no one was really talking about the speed that he was throwing. And he's the one, remember, he reported it's the slowest speed in the MLB, 71 miles an hour.
Yeah, and people said he was a hater.
Yeah, well,
his stat was a hater. That's what they
said. He's just doing his job. Would love to have him on sometime. So, for those curious, this is Chris Kirschner, tweeting this out 3 hours ago. For those curious, Jose Trevino had his fastest throw of the season in this game, 77.8 miles per hour. Cedric Mullins stole second on a pitch out.
Chris knows what he's doing.
Chris, see, there's going to be
that's
people.
The type of guy I like.
See, that was an amazing tweet because he's just stating facts. It's like that he just absolutely, I mean, mic drop. But then, it gets better. Jose Trevino told reporters he's not concerned about arm speed he's lost since last season and doesn't attribute that to anything in particular. I wanted Gary to hear that because you didn't even know about that. And now I feel like I know you, so I know you're like fuming at that. Chris Kirschner did tweet that out. And obviously he tweeted that out like probably like, I got nothing. Yeah, thoughts on that? Because look, I don't dislike Trevino, and I like that he's hitting well, but that answer is awful. That answer is awful. He's not concerned about the arm speed he's lost. It's all out there, buddy. It's all out there. And he doesn't attribute that to anything in particular. Like, bro, you on a pitch out, your fastest throw all year, and you could not throw out the guy at second. What are we doing? What are we doing here? And by the way, I want to point out real quick before you say something I thought was really funny. I knew it was gonna, I knew it was gonna come back to haunt us. Joe Girardi on the broadcast. Did you hear? Yeah, Adley Rutschman. He's kind of just an average, not really a great thrower of the baseball, from the crouch. And he just guns out like right after, like on command. It's like he heard it, and he guns out Cabrera stealing.
He was saying that Adley Rutschman's not a good thrower of the baseball.
He was saying he's like about average, and then he just made. I mean, that was one of the best throws I've ever seen from a catcher. That was perfect.
Well, he's far past serviceable. He's above average thrower, in my opinion.
Oh,
from
absolutely.
what I've seen, Adley Rutschman. We'll address this. From Adley Rutschman, he does everything.
Yeah,
he does absolutely everything. He's not going to leg out a triple, but
he doesn't have to.
He doesn't have to. He's one of the most deadly bats in the league, and he's doing it at the catcher's position. So that's kind of like watching Buster Posey and saying, well, he doesn't have the arm that Pudge Rodriguez has. Who gives a shit? Have you seen him swing a bat?
I know.
And I like Joe Girardi. I vouch for him to stay as manager of this team. So just before anyone freaks out about that.
Same here.
But I want to say this about that comment. I have to say this about Trevino. I have to. Essentially what happened, Jose Trevino physically had a pretty strong throwing arm before his injuries, and prior to this year, his arm was never a problem. I've seen him throw runners out. I've seen him have a strong throwing arm. I've seen all these things. But when a year goes by and you go into 2024 and people are telling you your arm has not just dropped off. This is not an eye test thing. This is not Gary Sheffield Jr. on his Yankees Unloaded podcast, along with Jake Ellenbogen, have an opinion that your arm is not well. Okay. No, there's a statistical measurement, not an analytic. Velocity. Anyone will tell you, oh, wow, Rick Ankiel, when he threw that ball, Bo Jackson, when he threw that ball from the outfield, all these players that you could ever name in the history of baseball, when you say that guy has a strong arm, you know what you're really saying? He throws a lot of velocity.
Yeah.
There you go. And everyone knows this. You didn't need me to tell you, but I'm just trying to break this down so people understand how ridiculous of a statement this is from Jose Trevino. Essentially what happened, he was like a cat. This is like a center in the NBA in Dikembe Mutombo. And he's at like the latter half of his career, and some player jumps over him from the free throw line and just puts his balls on his face and dunks it. Okay. and they say, hey, Dikembe, are you worried that you were one of the greatest shot blockers in the NBA in the history of this league, and this 23-year-old just jumped over you from the free throw line? And he's like, no, I'm not worried about it. You should be worried about it. You should be, because you're aging, right? And you're not able to do the job clearly that's at hand. And that's what we're seeing. We're seeing a player who physically does not have the qualities it takes to do the job. By the way, we're going to demand him to do, because I promise you, Jake, we're not going to be scoring. What was the score today? Today, it was 7-6. It won't be 7-6 in October.
No,
because Gerrit Cole, it'll be 2-1. How awful would it be watching Clay Holmes hold on a runner and Jose Trevino is behind the plate, and you expect the other team not to send the guy from first base? Are you guys kidding me? Why wouldn't they? They should. At the absolute least, if you lose to the New York Yankees, you better lose to Jose Trevino shutting down the running game. That's the worst part of our team. Above anyone you could ever mention coming off the bench, whether it be Jahmai Jones, Oswaldo Cabrera out of turn, right? Pinch running. There is nobody on this team that is worse at anything, any aspect of baseball, than Jose Trevino is at throwing. Okay. And I like Jose Trevino moderately. I wouldn't say I like the guy. He's middle of the road. He's a Yankee. I support him. But when you're habitually inconsistent or poor at a certain aspect of your job, it's my job to point that out. And I didn't point it out with opinions. We pointed it out with statistics, and we had a hunch, right? We were like, oh, maybe that's not good enough. No, the numbers say it's not good. So don't tell me that you don't read into the numbers. You better read into the numbers. We need to send his ass to Seattle so he can do the drive line program, so he can start throwing the ball harder.
Yeah, it's tough. And the thing is, Gary, Trevino's batting over 265 right now, I believe.
Yep.
This isn't sustainable. We saw the year Trevino was an all-star, hit like 250, 260, whatever. And it was a rough ending to that season. This is going to be a ticking time bomb with Trevino. If his bat drops off, this is going to be gross. I'm going to feel bad for him, because it is not going to be fun going to the Yankee Stadium if he's starting at catcher. And I mean, the boos he's going to hear, because that bat is not going to stay the way it is.
He's hitting 265. Could you ever imagine, Jake, I told you, Jose Trevino will be hitting 265 June 19th.
Yep.
You'd say, oh my gosh, he's back. He must be loved by the fans. And the fans don't hate Jose Trevino. But half the fan base, of course, half the fan base is casuals. We have more fans than anybody else. We have a ton of casuals, of course.
Yeah.
But there are a lot of people, like the people who watch our show, who are diehards. They'll sit through 40-minute podcasts and want to know who's coming off the bench and why and all this stuff, right? Pitch counts. But if Jose Trevino is playing a position of catcher, and it's now known across baseball, I promise you all 30 teams, maybe outside the Chicago White Sox and the Rockies, they probably don't know. But the other 28 teams, they know that the New York Yankees, one of the best teams on their schedule, if not the best, have a player that cannot field the position. Should be known.
Yeah, it's not ideal. And looking at this, it appears to me Jose Trevino, with his 5th error of the year, is in second place for catching errors.
Oh, good.
Which puts him, that would be second base. That would be second place for first base. That would be tied for 5th. It's second. Glaber leads the league in errors at second with 10.
Didn't offer an opinion yet. Jake's just reading numbers.
That would be at third base. That would be tied for 8th. At shortstop, that would be tied for 16th. That would lead all left fielders. That would lead all center fielders. That would lead all right fielders and all pitchers. So yeah, 5 errors. Not good. Not good. So I'll say this. Trevino's definitely a problem defensively, and he can't be DH because Stanton is pretty much an everyday DH, which he hasn't been, actually, believe it or not. He was kind of, they'd give him days off. They do not like giving Stanton days off this year. They're trying to keep him in the lineup. The guy's 18 home runs. I mean, why would you try to give him days off? And
if they give him a day off for Trevino to match up, if Trevino was in the DH spot, I'd have a stroke.
I figured you were gonna go that route because, that's just nah.
I'd give myself a stroke.
I mean, let's put it this way: Juan Soto and Giancarlo Stanton are tied for 7th in home runs.
Yep.
I'm not putting that guy on the bench at all.
But they're not thinking about doing that. Jose Trevino's on the field because when we say he's doing well offensively and he's hitting 265, he's been everything that we needed him to be offensively because he's a catcher. But if Jose Trevino was like our left fielder, we wouldn't be blown away by his performance. We just wouldn't. So this offensive output is part of that is his numbers are tied to the catcher's position. If you get those type of numbers, that's what makes Adley Rutschman so compelling. He does this offensively with all the pop he's got. He's hitting 288, but he leaves the ballpark, right?
Yeah.
That's so ridiculous because he's also catching. That's stupid. But when you put these players in left field or right field, they become, just another good player. But in this case, Jose Trevino, he has no value to the Yankees if he's not catching. And if he can't throw, yeah, I'm all aboard the Yankees putting more eggs into the basket of Austin Wells, giving him an opportunity to kind of awaken that bat. I know just you got to give him more opportunity. And hopefully that bat can get closer to closer to replacing Trevino, because if you can do that, he's a far greater catcher just defensively. And we talked about this. We said he's got to answer questions of what he can do at the catcher's position. He's done it. He's been a very good catcher. He's called great games. He can block, he can throw, but more importantly, he's athletic. So yeah, I put more eggs into that basket.
So I agree with you, obviously, because I'm a huge Austin Wells fan. Batted 178 in April, batted 213 in May, is now hitting 231 in June. So it's getting better for him.
Yes.
He has 4 hits in the last 4 games. He's got 6 hits in the last 6 games. So, he's definitely, it seems like there's more confidence there. He's striking out more. And I think that's by design, because I think he tried to be so patient. We talk about that approach early on in the season. I think he was trying to be so patient like Juan Soto early on in the year, and I think it was costing him. And now you're starting to see him be a little bit more aggressive. And yes, the strikeouts are coming, but he's got 4 fewer hits than he did last month. And last month he had 47 at-bats to 26 right now. So
yeah, he's getting a lot better. He's kind of figuring out a middle ground, which is good.
And we talked about it. I said it's not sustainable. He's the most unlucky hitter in the league. Analytically speaking, he still is up there. I don't know if he's the most. I haven't seen that in a while, but he's still up there. But that eventually comes around. If you play 162 games, you're not going to just have bad luck every time. Okay. Like Cedric Mullins with the bloop single. Okay. There's going to be times like today that was great. That helped them win the game. But there are going to be times where like you hit a rocket ship, an absolute rocket, and a guy robs you of a home run. But the dude that just hit a broken bat bloop single had more productive at bat. And
yeah, in the short term, that's true. Yeah,
but that eventually that comes around. Like eventually it'll go your way too. And we're starting to see that with Wells. And 6 for 26 right now, 5 runs scored. He has a home run, his only home run of the year, actually. He had a home run back in April. But yeah, he needs to be playing. I mean, that's what it comes down to.
So it should be Wells and Rice, is what you think, right? Wells.
Yeah, I'd actually, what I'd like to see, if Austin Wells isn't going to play, I'd like to see Rice catch.
Yeah.
Give Trevino some time. See if you can get him in with, your training staff, whatever. See if you can do anything to help fix that arm, because the arm strength matters. But even furthermore, his errors haven't really been arm strength related. They've been like accuracy. And that was
he looks like playoff Lamar Jackson throwing the ball right now.
Brutal.
What is he doing? He threw that ball. That ball today almost went to Alex Verdugo in left field. Like it looked, if you watch on TV, and if you haven't seen the play, I highly recommend you go watch it. Jose Trevino's throw today to third base, it looked like he was trying to one-hop the left field wall. That's what it looked like.
That's why Juan Soto should be the left fielder. In case that happens, he's got the gun.
Yeah.
Because Verdugo's arm is not bad, but he doesn't. I'm kidding, obviously. But, I wouldn't be against him playing left field. I mean, he played left field at Fenway, obvious reasons. But Verdugo showed off that he could play center today, though. A little segue into that. that was, I mean, if they won the game, we'd be talking about that more. That was the play of the game. I mean, that was amazing. Bases loaded. That shit's way out there. I mean, it's a screaming line drive. It's going to go off the wall. And Verdugo tracks it down, runs it down. He's playing center field in this one, makes a beautiful catch.
Real shame, by the way. Real shame that we're not spending more time getting an opportunity to dive into the versatility that a lot of our players on our roster have. We can just throw a Ben Rice over at first base, and players on our team don't have any problem coming off the bench, pinch running. We found ways to scratch runs today. We 6 runs. No one expected us to have 6 runs at the end of this contest, and all of it was undone with some just stupid bonehead decisions in the dugout. And
how about the kid, Ben Rice, getting the huge sac fly? I mean, that could have been, and you know, it was a good play by Santander. But I mean, man, if that fell, that would have been. He's good. I think he's gonna last. I really like Ben Rice. I want to see him get a chance to call a game behind the plate.
That does not sound like a real name at all, by the way. Ben Rice. Rice sounds like an MLB The Show created player, like Road to the Show. That does not sound like a real guy.
What do you want him to be, Jerry Rice?
Yeah, I want him to be Jerry Rice. But what's so crazy about it, you know what I like about him, is it seems like he has confidence. And we see so many young players coming to New York. Dominguez is another guy who seems highly confident. But you saw guys like Clint Frazier, Florial. They came to New York, and it was like they put their tail between their legs, man. They looked terrified. And I get it, man. Like, playing in New York, like, I didn't play in New York, but I watched my dad play there. It looks terrifying to play there, man. Like, there's a bunch of idiots in the outfield who don't know baseball, but there are also a ton of people in Yankee Stadium who really know the game of baseball. They really know what's going on, and they're super tapped in. So this is not like playing for any other team. It's not like playing for the Mets, Dodgers, any of these teams. They really are sweaty in there at Yankee Stadium, and the prospects feel it. Veterans feel it. Shit, Joey Gallo felt it, right? So when you see players like Ben Rice come in there, you see him smiling and having fun with roll call at the beginning of the game. Yeah, it's a good look.
Yeah, you know, and I mean, it cracks me up. I saw on Twitter, I don't want to put too much stock in it. It's just a nobody, but guys commenting like, yeah, you know, Ben Rice is giving me the same vibes, happy-go-lucky kid, maybe in over his head, kind of like Oswaldo Cabrera. He's going to come back down to earth. I was like, Oswaldo Cabrera was batting like 241 in the minors when they called him up, and they kind of had to. They didn't really have any other options. They needed to do something to change what was going on. Ben Rice, as I've said on this show, is statistically one of the best minor league hitters the Yankees have had in years. It's not like the dude just got called up because they wanted to light a spark, or he got called up because they, you know, wanted to give him an opportunity, or they felt bad for him. This guy has earned his right to be called up. And people are like, well, he only played 11 games in AAA. Who cares? AAA is meaningless at this point.
Yeah, what does that matter?
You know, Bryce Harper never played in AAA. He was called up right from AA. Never played AAA, ever. Phil Hughes never played AAA. Was called right up from Trenton Thunder.
You don't need to play in the minor leagues at all. I'm telling you this.
Typically speaking, you really don't. But
Jake, you don't need to play in the minor leagues. What the hell you need to do that for? There's certain guys that didn't need it. Then there's other players who need 4 or 5 years to develop. They need time. But I'll say this, Jake. When you're talking about, oh yeah, this guy, I don't see him staying. How do you know that? What would possibly tell you? Like, at what point? Think about it this way. Last year, Jason Dominguez, he took the baseball world by storm, right? He showed up to Yankee Stadium, just electrified it immediately.
Yeah.
All of the projections that they gave him, they said, oh, he's going to be the next Mickey Mantle. He's not going to be Mickey Mantle. He won't be. And I can tell you that safely. But you know what? He's going to be pretty damn good. They're not even the same
type of player.
They're not the same type of player, but you know what? He's going to be pretty damn good. Okay?
Yeah.
And when he showed up and he electrifies Yankee Stadium, you can sit around and be sulky and negative and say, well, he's not going to sustain this. It won't be. It's too good to be true. Those people are not worth conversing with. I promise you guys, waste of time. If anyone shows up to Yankee Stadium and performs extremely well for any period of time whatsoever, you should be happy. That is what it is. And if you think that player isn't going to be good long term, You need to show me where in his numbers, whether it be minor leagues, college baseball, him playing in the Mexican League, Japanese League, show me where you came up with that conclusion other than your own insecurity and anxiety. Has nothing to do with baseball.
Yeah,
That has nothing to do with ball.
it's so dumb. I mean, it really is. I mean, I just
Give him a chance.
people are nonstop about that. And the funny thing is, like, these people don't even follow the minor leagues. They don't. I mean, are you kidding? Ben Rice, and I'm just going to be honest here. I knew about Ben Rice. You know that. That's the type of guy that I would know about. I've also been following the minor leagues. Now, am I as good as like Yankee prospect? I forget what it is. Yankees prospect. There's a Twitter account that follows everyone. No, I'm not that guy. Okay. I do my research by, like, I'll see an occasional clip here and there, but for the most part, I'm going by stats. I'm researching, I'm doing that. Ben Rice was the 12th prospect in the farm system. It kind of goes to show you that these rankings are stupid. They're for our amusement and our enjoyment, but also kind of like how the draft, any draft, MLB, NFL, NBA, everyone has their own draft board, right? There's not a consensus draft board. This isn't fantasy baseball. This isn't fantasy football. This isn't Madden, where if you do a fantasy draft, this, and this is listed and everyone chooses. But no, everyone has different boards. Just like anyone who's trading with the New York Yankees, they have their own board of that top 30. They might not even have a top 30. They might only have a top 5. And the reality is, right now, if you go on MLB.com/prospects/Yankees, Jason Dominguez is number 1. No one is looking at Jason Dominguez as a prospect. Nobody.
Nope.
Spencer Jones is number 2. Spencer Jones might be considered the number 1 prospect for a lot of people, fans, so forth. However, there are definitely teams out there that are like, Roderick Arias has a higher ceiling. We like him more. And that's the thing. That's what happens when you have your pro scouts. They're doing that. But you have your more minor league level scouts, your prospect guys. Those guys are going out there on the road. They're watching Arias playing in freaking high single A baseball, right? Or they're watching Chase Hampton pitch in double A. And they're like, this is a guy that I like. This is a guy I like. And they make their own thing. And the reason I say that is because while the 12th prospect, according to MLB, in the Yankees farm system is Ben Rice, the Yankees could literally, and they don't have to tell anybody, they could be like, Ben Rice was always a top 3 prospect of ours. You know, like they scoffed. They'd be like, yeah, team called and asked for Ben Rice. And they're like, nope. Like, you know, you don't know.
Yeah,
I mean,
they're not going to show their hand. I mean, there's going to be certain players that the Yankees have talked up for years. Okay.
Yeah.
And they just, for whatever reason, won't call him up. And you're like, are they just like hoarding this guy in the minor leagues? Are they waiting to trade in this chip? Is that it? Is maybe Brian Cashman has a trick up his sleeve, and he never did. He never had any tricks up his sleeve. But I'll tell you this. Like you said, Jake, Jason Dominguez is the number 1 prospect for the Yankees, according to MLB.com. And if you traded him to, I would say, more than half of teams in Major League Baseball, I'd say 90% of teams, he would get called up the second that trade went through. As soon as he passed his physical with his next organization, he'd be the starting center fielder for that team. He's not a prospect, okay? This is a player that is established and he can perform at the big league level. He's just at AAA because the Yankees feel like a player that they spent money on because Dominguez was hurt at the time and he was rehabbing from a torn UCL. They felt like Verdugo's performing well enough to where they can slow play Dominguez in that time. Because if Juan Soto, for whatever reason, his negotiation gets out of control, the Yankees can physically get away with throwing Jason Dominguez out in center field and then Aaron Judge in right, and then maybe consider bringing Verdugo back on a 1 or 2 year contract. But you know, that's not a prospect. So I totally agree with you. Everyone views these prospects differently. People in the comment section might tell you, oh, Spencer Jones, I think he sucks. Meanwhile, the New York Yankees might think more high of Spencer Jones than they do even Jason Dominguez, right? So we have no clue what they think. They wouldn't tell us. They just never would, even if we talked to them.
No, it's true. It is funny, though, like seeing this, and people always, they take the top 10 or they take the top 30 and they're like, this is how the Yankees see them. It's like, no, this is just the MLB.com. Do you really think right now the Yankees are like, yeah, Agustin Ramirez, he led the league in home runs in double A. They love pop. Do you think they're like, yeah, he's the 20th best prospect in our farm system? Like Francisco Velorio, by the way, putting him on the radar. He was their international guy that they signed, spent a lot of money on, coming out of Dominican Republic. This guy is 17 years old, right? They give him almost $2 million. Like,
could
right
you
out
imagine getting $2 million at 17? I'd be at Five Guys every other day.
Lizzo meal, boop.
Dude, you have no clue how I'd be eating. I would literally, dude, I would be 300 pounds by the time I reported to spring training. You could,
And then you would
I
get
guess my
cut,
metabolism would have been
and then
better.
you'd have to pay it back.
Right. Throw it on the credit card.
But yeah, Velorio, he's 17 years old. He's 6'4", 212, outfielder. Okay. He's got a 70 arm, which is like, that's a crazy grade.
So what's Trevino graded as a catcher for arm? Is he a
probably
5?
10.
10.
Right now. But
what's the lowest you could be rated?
I think it's like 20.
So how's he not? He should be a 20. He's the worst throwing catcher in all of the big leagues.
He'd be a 10. He's lower than that.
Oh, he's worse than they're like the worst would be 20. So
dude, he's off the scale, just not the scale that the side that you want to be off. But yeah, I'm putting Velorio on the record. Right-handed bat. He's got some muscle to his frame. Like I said, 6'4", 212. He's got 30 home run upside. Really good bat to ball skills.
Just what we needed, another power hitting outfielder.
Yeah. 2029 is his ETA, right? Because he's 17 years old. Right. I'm putting him on the record because they have him as the 14th prospect, and the Yankees are freaking stoked about him. So it's just a reminder. Clayton Beeter, the 13th prospect, according to MLB.com, he's pitching very well in Scranton. He's got a 2.53 ERA. That's Gary's guy. I mean, I've always liked Beeter. I like him even more because, you know, they got rid of Gallo and they somehow got something for him, which I still can't believe.
Can you believe anyone did that?
I mean, I would understand. Like, I would have traded Gallo for some like big league chew, but like getting like an actual competent pitcher in Clayton Beeter, like that's wild, bro. That's absolutely wild.
We really think we can do something with Joey Gallo. You're willing to give up something? They're like, oh yeah, just throw him Clayton Beeter. Are you kidding me?
Dude,
it should have been nothing. No one should. I'm not kidding you when I say this. I don't even think like any team in Major League Baseball, whether they're tanking, like the Chicago White Sox shouldn't have sent a prospect. That's how bad they're horrible. And they shouldn't have traded with us for Joey Gallo. Joey Gallo is a 1 year. I'd probably say he's like because he's made money, right? He's a 1 year, $7 million guy that you throw out into right field. He's got a good arm. He'll field the position if there's not too much pressure on him. If there's too much pressure, he's going to shit himself. So he's got to be playing in a situation where no one's thinking about him ever. And he'll run into maybe 15 to 23 homers that year. I'll give him $7 million. I know it sounds ridiculous because we would all accept $7 million to play anywhere, right? But that's what you pay for, right? If you've got a solid defensive guy who can run, that's what. But the fact that they gave us him is insane. That's absolutely a joke.
Yeah, that was a masterclass.
So thank you.
Yeah, good God, Dodgers. Brando Maeda, I forgot to mention, 18 years old. He's the 9th prospect, right? They signed him back in 2020. Oh no, 2023. Okay, so this was pretty recent. They just signed Maeda. They signed him to $4.35 million. So I guess he's way higher on the totem pole than Velorio. Velorio has more power, but on the 2080 scale, this guy has 70-80 grade speed. Like,
oh wow, that's refreshing.
Yeah. So an outfielder, 5'11", $175. Dude's gonna be flying.
Move him to second base. I'm tired of outfield prospects. The Yankees, they either tell me that a prospect's a shortstop. I need to hear third base, second base, He's a
I
shortstop. He's a
mean, you
first
know how the
baseman. That's
catcher
what I do.
thing went. Oh, we got Anthony Siegler. He's going to be the next big thing at catcher. And then they're like, yeah, he's at second base now. Like, what? And, they do that all the time.
We really do.
Yeah, it's kind of all over the place. I mean, by the way, Will Warren did get his ERA down to 6.65, no longer over 8.
No further questions at this time.
Yeah. I mean, Will Warren, according to MLB.com, is the 7th prospect in the Yankees farm system. I bet you they have lowered him in their minds.
Yeah, whatever. Like, have they watched him? I think there's some potential there. I'm not like giving up on the guy, but nothing that he's done so far warrants that. I mean,
Yeah.
I guess I can say I could be wrong. I don't see it.
And we have no idea what they think about Pereira. He was brought up last year. Didn't really do a whole lot, batted 151. But yeah, he was hitting 265 before he got hurt. Arias is a guy that, they really like, but he's hitting 209 right now in single A, and his ETA is 2027. It's really the big three: Dominguez, who you and I don't look at as a prospect, Spencer Jones, and Chase Hampton. That's why they got rid of Thorpe.
Oh, Drew Thorpe, yeah.
Who's now on the freaking White Sox because Padres are like, oh yeah, we really want Drew Thorpe, and then they turned around and they gave him away for Cease. It is part of the deal.
Right.
I get that, but yeah, Chase Hampton pitched well last year. He's currently injured, so we'll see what ends up happening. That's all I got. Wrapping it up, though, I know you wanted to touch on Volpe because he hasn't walked since May 30th.
Okay, yes. May 30th. He had a walk today. He had a really good game today. I thought overall, he had an impact on every aspect of the game, which is all you can ask from a player who's considered an all-around baseball player. It's not just about leaving the seats, because last year he was a guy who was like, yeah, I'm just trying to poke a ball out to right field and go into the short porch. He was trying to do it every at-bat. If you watched it, that was his only approach. He essentially was like 2018 Gleyber Torres. Okay? I hated watching that. It was horrible. This year, he told us he wanted to fix his bat angle. There's ups, there's downs. Clearly, the issue with Volpe, and I'll tell you, it's still just as much of a problem as it was at the beginning of the year or even last year. His plate discipline is atrocious. He has no idea what pitches he's swinging at. He just has such incredible hand-eye coordination that he's able to make adjustments on pitches, and he's still finding a way to make impact. If he can command the strike zone and find a way to take his walks, the best players in the history of this game always have the ability to walk. I'm telling you, when my dad would talk to some of the greatest hitters of all time, when he would talk to any player you can ever think about, they would always tell you, if you really want to go to the next level, like to the MVP level, where you're saying this guy's a top player at his position, you have to be able to walk. Because otherwise, when you cannot walk or you refuse to take a walk, you will go into cold streaks. It just happens. This is the reason why Juan Soto, you mentioned that he's one of the most pure hitters in the game of baseball. Part of the reason is because if you nibble on him, he will make you pay. He'll decide if you're going to pitch that way, I'll pass the baton to the next guy. And it forces you to go after him. And when you go after a player who's willing to take a walk, that's when you turn it on and do damage. So that's the next step for Anthony Volpe. If he can do that, I mean, we're talking about a player who has the ability to maybe be a notch down from like a Trey Turner. It would be historic for this organization if he could do that. I can't say he's going to, because, there's a reason Trey Turner makes 300 and some million, right? It's not easy to be that guy. So I guess we'll see what happens with Volpe. Great day today, and we'll just hope that he continues to progress.
We will continue to hope, but we'll see how things go. I'm very curious to see how Boone bounces back tomorrow. This was
I'm catching tomorrow, by the way.
Oh, okay. And what's your velocity?
They graded me as a 45. So, well, I can tell you right now, from the outfield, this is not the same as catching. From the outfield, I was gun throwing 89 miles an hour. Not the best, but I would be a yellow light, okay? I'd be a yellow light. You can't run on me. So, I tell you right now, my arm would probably fall off the bone if I threw a baseball right now. But he's in the middle of his baseball career playing for the New York Yankees. He should be able to throw the ball. So I don't see that
Yeah.
changing. I think that we see Wells tomorrow at the catcher's position. I do.
That would be good. I wouldn't mind seeing Ben Rice catch, and then maybe Wells play first. Get him some opportunities. I know he's been working on it before games and stuff, but yeah, that's going to do it. Appreciate you guys hanging out with us. Hopefully we have a better result tomorrow for you guys. But there was a lot to cover. There's a lot going on, and obviously we have our own show. We have our own thoughts, and it's very therapeutic even for us. I know it's therapeutic for you guys to hear it, but it's for us to actually record this because that game was frustrating. There's a lot of frustrating elements of the game, and we wanted to make sure we got everything out there. So, yeah, that's going to do it. Be sure to like, subscribe, and comment. Also, be sure to follow us on all social media at JK Bogan, at Gary Sheffield Jr., and at Yankees Unloaded. Until next time, guys, you guys take care.
And Jake already said it. Like this video.